On your Husqvarna Viking Designer EPIC 2, you have the luxury of having feed dogs that will move stitches side to side. So in the K menu for the Omni motion stitches, we're talking about stitches that are going up to 42 and 44 millimeters wide. And what you see on screen is actual size. Now when you see the presser foot S, that is the best foot for this. We don't have the integrated dual feed on. We just need that extra wide foot to help with the movement of our fabric. It's also a good idea to draw a line because your fabric's going to be moving this way and that way, and you can then make sure that the stitch doesn't drift to the side while you're trying to line it up. So there is a key part of following a line and also stabilizing your fabric well. Here are two of the stitches stitched out as part of our Stitching Cosmos online course, and I loved having these because I was able to kind of fill in a greater area for the edges here and kind of out in the, just giving the little block a little extra highlight here. I love this one in particular. So how did I do it on a curve? So kind of the same thing, my foot as it traveled, I just made sure that it stayed parallel to this edge, and every time it came back towards that edge, it needed to come back to the same distance every single time. So if it felt like it was getting a little further away, I needed to kind of tweak the fabric so it would travel in and then be more lined up. So this was very forgiving on that particular one. Same with this one, but I loved how it really gave this block the life that it needed. If you're interested in learning how to use these stitches or where to use them, the Husqvarna Viking Stitching Cosmos online course is exactly the place you want to head over. But I want to show you just a little bit how this looks stitched out. Now we do see that these stitches, there is so many of them. All these different stitches are fun. You can combine them in the memory with other stitches, so just be aware that you can play around with them. You might utilize, here we go, let's get back to menu K, that if you do put a stitch in and combine it with something else, you can find ways to make them hook together. You also can utilize the 8 directional stitching area in menu T and add some stitches that would maybe connect a slightly different stitch to be so it looks nice. Those will be things that you can play with. So let me just pick something like this. So see how I moved some stitches over and then it hooked up with the center part of where this next stitch started with. So just yes, you would, oh yeah, it is going to restart that stitch back over here so we could bring those stitches back and then it kind of follow all the same line. But let's just take something fairly simple, see how it stitches out. Watch right here, 42 millimeters. Again, if you don't know how big that is, all you need to do is peek down on the chart right here and you can see that 42 millimeters is this big. Oh wait, that's the same as what's showing on screen. So I told you it's actual size, which is probably why you love this interactive screen. So there's 66 different stitches just in this one menu alone that you can pick from. Further you get into some holiday ones. So many people forget that there's all these extra fun stitches. Now that's not the only place that the sideways motion stitches hang out. The J menu has some really big scallops at the end. Some of my favorites are in this area. This is the one we've used with a twin needle right here. So I love how that, again, magnified that area, and I put that with our paper piecing block. So if you've never think you could do a twin needle, again, that online course would be excellent for you to check out. So when you take time to sew out all your decorative stitches, you're going to find that this menu will take a little longer to stitch, and you need to plan for how big those stitches are. So if you just watch as I come back to where that stitch repeats, that I'm just barely moving the fabric. So, and when I talk about moving the fabric, I'm just finger tapping it if I need to kind of come back so it comes right to where that stitch restarts. So if I come back down here and it comes a little bit lower, what I'm going to do is kind of work my fabric a little one way so it can kind of come up and then down and then come back to that actual line. So it's not an exact art, but you definitely can plan ahead and stay within the range of going along a straight line. I'm going to touch the scissor button real quick. That will finish off that pattern. Again, I'm kind of watching that I'm kind of bringing that back down. Love that it just kind of taps that line I drew. Again, try it on some practice fabric, and before you know it, you too will be allowing your fabric to stay nice and even though those stitches are working your fabric side to side. Don't forget, we've got other videos like this one. We were talking about the tassel stitches. This, you actually trim the bobbin thread, and up comes the fun stitches. And these are the crystal locations. That's a whole nother stitch collection where the little circles leave the crystal holes for you to come play with, and the tapering menu. So we've got all those videos for you. I hope you'll check out all the ones that are being done for your beautiful Husqvarna Viking Designer EPIC 2.